Hello, everybody, and welcome to Woken Spurred. Still technically June, but we're almost there into July. Thank you for joining me. This is the fourth one we've done of these. It is an incarnation of the event I am lucky enough. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Woken Spurred. That is the sound of me listening to myself on the YouTube stream, so that's all working. Thank you for being here. I have got a very special guest this time. It is the fantastic Tony Walsh, who we were lucky enough to have at the festival last year, and he's joining us on this. I will kick off with a couple of poems, bring Tony on to wow us all, and then I'll finish off with one or two more. It is 106 days since I last set foot on a stage. Whilst I'm getting more used to things like this, it is ever changing, ever evolving. So thank you for being part of this. I have found that I've wanted to keep performing new things. Performing the same things in the same room is a strange thing. I think some old poems can feel new when they're shown to a new audience. But when you can't see the audience, you have to trust it. So I'm going to kick off with this one, which I wrote for Father's Day this year. Growing up, I came to Greenbelt every year, and me and my brother used to play a game where when we would walk across the site, we would try and work out which one of our parents would get stopped more, because they were both working at Greenbelt, and we claimed to have minor cushion celebrity parents. And it was a great moment a few Greenbelts ago when someone stopped my dad and said, "Are you Harry Baker's dad?" Because I was always known as Johnny Baker's son. So I'd like to dedicate this poem to him. He has taught me how to make sourdough during lockdown, and it's been an absolute joy. And whilst it may be a cliche, I heard a phrase recently which was, "So cliche, so what?" So I'm embracing that, and this is a Father's Day poem on the topic of sourdough. To start, you fed me every day, checked in to see how I was growing. When done right, you're set for life. You just need help to get things going. You taught me patience and precision when it comes to hate and greed. As with your 3-day recipe, you showed there simply is no need. When things got sticky, you'd make sure I'd take it with a pinch of salt, that I would stretch myself before you'd always bring me to the fold. You've got me covered on the days it takes to get into the groove. Just like that dough, you let me know when I've got nothing left to prove. Your love is gluten, and that I still cannot quite describe what it is. But I'm grateful you brought me up to be tolerant of things, because potential is like yeast. It's been in the air this whole time. Sometimes it just needs activation before we can see it rise. So thanks for keeping me alive, for building me to so much more. You show me kindness is fresh bread, and it is best when it's served warm. This next poem is one of the most performative that I have, and there is a video of it online of one of the first times it was performed, which was at Greenbelt Festival, and it is called Falafel. I lived in Germany for a year, and it was such a joy to learn a new language, to discover some new tools and words to play with. And one of my favorite things about German is you can stick words together to make new words. And where I lived in Germany, there was lots of amazing kind of Middle Eastern Turkish foods, including falafel. And the German word for falafel is falafel, nice and easy. But the German word for spoon is Löffel. So if you had a special spoon you only ever used to eat your falafel with, then that spoon would be called a Falafel-Löffel. So I wrote this poem, it's about Falafel-Löffel. And it's got a call and response, which is obviously difficult with an online audience, but I'm trusting Tony to respond behind the scenes, and I've got Grace in the same room who may or may not join in, but this is Falafel. I hope you like it. It goes like this. Phil ist voll. Die Nacht ist gut verlaufen. Phil sieht ein Geschäft und fragt, was sie verkaufen, which means Phil is full. The night has gone well. Phil sees a shop and he asks what they sell. Falafel. Falafel. Which means falafel spoons. For spoonfuls of falafel. Was falafel? Falafel. Wie falafel? Falafel. Now, Phil doesn't speak German, so he's left a little backwards. There is this fella, Phil. And Phil loved falafel. In a falafel raffle, he would snaffle all the tickets. He always answers in affirmative to offers of falafel, even if he saw falafel if he didn't. And for us, it might feel effortless to live a life falafelless. But Phil effervesces as he gets his falafel fix. So if Phil was ever to be offered lethal of falafel, he'd say yes despite not knowing what the falafel is. Fulfill a life of love and laughter, will have a falafel after. So it's just despite not knowing what the falafel is. If a falafel awful. So it's just despite not knowing what the falafel is. A fluffy falafel is often iffy if he's honest. So it's just despite not knowing what the falafel is. If half a falafel is if he leave, even as he for the message for his kids saying yes, despite not knowing what the falafel is, or it's just despite not knowing what the falafel is. So when I say, wie viel falafel is zu viel falafel, which translates as how much falafel is too much falafel, could you reply either in the comment box or in your own homes, falafel is too viel falafel. And if that's too difficult, I've learned recently there is a falafel emoji. So if you want to just do 4 of those, I'll take it. Otherwise, whatever feels appropriate. Just in case you want to learn it along with me back home, you can repeat after me. Fia, falafel is zu viel falafel. And then we'll just do that until our neighbours can all hear us, and just imagine that there's some kind of German family staying with us in lockdown. Wie viel falafel ist zu viel falafel? Falafel ist zu viel falafel. Wie viel falafel ist zu viel falafel? Falafel ist zu lauter. Wie viel falafel ist zu viel falafel? Falafel ist zu viel schneller. Wie viel falafel ist zu viel falafel? Falafel ist zu viel falafel. Falafel is zu viel falafel. If it left him on his deathbed with a message for his kids saying, just despite not knowing what the falafel is, always just despite not knowing what the falafel is. Phil war voll. Die Nacht von gut verlaufen. Phil sah eingeschafft und fragt, ob sie sich verkaufen. Falafel. 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 Falafel, ja, falafel. Falafel. You've got to make an effort when you travel. Thank you very much. And we've also got to make an effort when we stay at home these days. So thank you for bearing with me. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our guest for this week, the fantastic Tony Walsh. I got to know Tony through the performance scene, and then in the last couple of years, he's just been brought to the mainstream in a glorious way, and it's so fantastic to see his work everywhere I look. He's got a fantastic new piece of stuff, new projects that I'm hoping he'll do, but it gives me great pleasure to hand over and just get to sit back and watch. How are you doing, Tony?
I'm well, thank you. I'm the type of performer who likes to be quiet and clear my mind before I come on. And now my head's full of German and falafel. So let's over to me.
Over to you.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, people of Earth, of the internet, the wonderful Greenbelt family. Thank you, Harry, for that wonderful introduction. I'm really glad to be here. My name's Tony Walsh, broadcasting here from my home in Manchester. 20 minutes from me, 5 or 6 poems, 2 or 3 from my existing book that's been out for a few years now, Sex and Love and Rock and Roll, and a few from my next book. Love is at the centre of my book, quite literally, with a love heart there. And every poet needs a few love poems. Here's one of mine. It's quite a silly poem, really, called Bohemian Raspberry. The title is better than the poem, but here we go, Bohemian Raspberry. So it starts off with a metaphor, not of love as sourdough, but love as a fairy cake. Can I get an awe when I get to it? Ready? Bohemian Raspberry. And your love is like a fairy cake. And thank you, Harry. And it's soft and sweet and fills me. And your love is like a fairground ride. And it never stops to thrill me. And your love is like an ice cream. And I'm the ripple in your raspberry. And your love is so bohemian that you've got me in a rhapsody. And your love is like the warmest lake. And I want to swim and drown there. And your love is like that perfect place. And I want to settle down there. And your love is like a railroad train. And I want to be your hobo. And your love is Irie Superfly. And I want to win your mobile. And your love is like Las Vegas. And I want to be your Elvis. And your love is Rockahula, baby. Let me be your pelvis. And your love is like a magnet. And I'm totally attracted. And your love is like a takeaway. And I want to be subtracted. and your love is like a dialect, and I want to be your patois. And love is like a holy war, and I want to be your fatwa. And your love is like a pantomime, and I'm your slapstick violence. And your love is a cathedral, and I want to be. And your love is like a rocket ship, and I want to be your ass. Love is like a shopping trip, and I want to be the shit you bought. And your love is like a road trip, and I want to hit the highway. And your love is like Sonata. I want to be your my way. And your love is like Franz Schubert, and I finish off your symphony. And your love is like a tragedy, and I'm your tea and sympathy. And your love is like a forest fire, and I want you to consume me. And your love is like a grave robber, and I want you to exhume me. And your love is like a Chinese film, and I'm the flying daggers. And your love is like a lover's lips, and baby, I'm Mick Jagger's. And your love is like a puzzled face, and I want to make it quizzical. And your love is like that song, and let's get physical, physical. And your love is like a laughter line, and I want to be your wrinkle. And your love is like a garden, and I want to be your sprinkle. And your love is like a PhD, and I could be your thesis. And your love is like a jigsaw, baby, I'm the missing pieces. And your love is like a carry-on film, and I'm your innuendo. And your love is like when angels sing, and I'm the last crescendo. And your love is like Da Vinci, baby, I'm your Mona Lisa. And your love is like an Arctic scene, and I'm your red-hot geezer. And your love is like a miracle, and God, I'm loaves and fishes. And your love is like Aladdin's lamp, and you'd be all three wishes. And your love is like religion, and I want to come together. And your love is like infinity, and I want to be forever. There we go, Bohemian Raspberry. Thank you, thank you. So all I can see is Harry's enthusiastic face. Sometimes you realise when you're performing that some people's I'm listening really hard face is a lot like their I hate you face. But luckily Harry's very expressive in his reaction. So do please keep that up, Harry. So next up, a poem that was commissioned from me by the BBC in the summer of 2017. The BBC pulls off an amazing thing every year, as only the BBC can, BBC National Music Day. And they run community events all over the country, and they pull off big spectaculars at the Albert Hall and surprising collaborations. And they gave me the title. They wanted a poem called The Power of Music, about what only music can do. And you'll find it online still. It goes like this: the power of music. Just some notes and some chords and some words on the breeze, and a part of your heart starts unlocked by the keys and the horns and the pipes and the brass and the strings, and that hole in your soul that she fills when she sings. Then the bass drops and the place rocks, and the speakers are pounding. Then the lines mingle, spines tingle, sounding astounding. And that humming, that strumming, it does something to me. That phrase, how she says it, it blazes right through me. The crooning, the swooning, the sweeping, the soaring, the reaching, the teaching, beseeching, imploring. In the bass builds, and the drums rise, and the horn section kicks in, and you're right there, and you don't care, and you dance in the kitchen. It's human, it's basic, instinctive and primal, our pulsating heartbeat, whose rhythm and rhyme will be healing you, feeling alive and enlightened, not only not lonely, not shy and not frightened. Then the choir goes higher, the fire ignites us, delights and excites and invites and unites us with neighbours, with strangers, with smiles that can show that it's in us, within us. It grows till we know that you can do this, get through this, you prove this, you knew this. The proof is, the truth is, just music can do this. Maybe poetry too, as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Harry. Thank you. What happened was, the day that poem was due to go out was the morning we all woke up to the terrible news of the Grenfell outrage, and the references to fire in there, and of course the whole news agenda that day. That poem, if it went out at all, it didn't make much of a splash that day, and rightly so in the wake of that terrible situation, which we should never forget. Speaking of current affairs, therefore, we live in interesting times, don't we? I'm often reminded at the moment of have you seen the film No Country for Old Men, where there's an absolute chaos, and like the deputy says to the sheriff, he says something like, "It's a mess, ain't it, Sarge?" He says, "If it's not, it'll do till the mess gets here." Well, hopefully this is the mess, and there's not the real mess to come. So lots of people suggesting ways that that we might run the world a little bit better. Here's a few of mine. I often close my shows with this. I'm going to drop it in here today. Let me know if you like any of these. I can see it on the comments later. Give it a thumbs up if you like any of them. My kids like the first half of number 1. The poem's called Repeat After Me. Number 1. Sleep as long as you like. Just be awake more. Number 2. See through their mirrors and truly reflect. Number 3. Every day may end in why, but should begin with why not. Number 4. Understand that happiness is more important than pleasure. Number 5. Judge a philosophy by its best teachings, not by its worst students. Number 6. Know this. We are all foreigners in most places. Number 7. Treat people differently, that they may be equal. Number 8. Buy less and spend more time. Number 9. Walk more and leave smaller footprints. Number 10. Don't die of consumption. Number 11. Don't make poverty history. Make it current affairs. Number 12, save seeds from flowers. Number 13, grow flowers from seeds. Number 14, understand the glory of nature and the nature of glory. Number 15, learn the answers and teach the questions. Number 16, give big dreams to small children. Number 17, smile more. Number 18, dance more. Number 19, touch people. Number 20, be a good kisser. Number 21, make love more. Make love more, 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 make love more. Prevalent in the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, there's Harry with his big smiley face. Thank you, Harry. Okay, so as Harry mentioned, it was Father's Day in this last week or two. And this is a poem that I wrote for Father's Day as well a couple of years ago. And my children are grown up now, they're 23 and 21. We missed our daughter's 21st. We had to do it over Skype, over Zoom, which was really hard. And this is a poem about your kids growing up and how hard it can be for parents when the kids move away. When you're a teenager, when you're a young adult yourself, you don't realize what your parents have invested in you and how hard it can be. So that's a poem about that. It's for Katie. It's called Dadda. Dadda was her very first word, not Dada, not the turn of the century art movement. That came a few months later. Dadda. Dadda was her very first word. I was there and I heard it. It's something you never forget. Now it's Dad. Can I just have? And Dad, it's a must have. And Dad, we have so got to get. And I'd push on a trike and she fell off a bike. Then that first time she waved from the bus. And now Dad's baby girl's in this mad, crazy world. And it's Dad, can you not make a fuss? So you just try and teach them and hope that you reach them with little things that just let them know. If you fail, if you fall, if you just call. It's hard, but you must let them go. There we are. Thank you. Now then. Okay. At this point, I'm going to try and read a poem from my phone. And this isn't because I'm a tech wizard and I'm down with the kids. It's the exact opposite of that. It's because my printer's broke and I don't know how to fix it. So if the evening goes wrong, it's going to go wrong in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So this is a poem that went online just in the last fortnight. It was commissioned by an excellent organisation called New Writing North. There are regional writers development agencies around the country. New Writing North, of course, for North of England. And they wanted a poem from me about the lockdown situation and some acknowledgement of how different that was for people and some sense of a way forward. It went live about 2 weeks ago. You'll find it on YouTube. It's had a very clever artwork interpretation by a gentleman called Craig Oldham, Office of Craig. And it's displayed courtesy of an outfit called Jack Arts along 10 poster sites on a major street in Manchester city centre. There was a full page feature on the poem in the Daily Mirror last Friday if you want to seek that out as well. So I thought, how can I hit this moving target of the moving picture that is lockdown and the many emotions each of us feeling in the same day, in the same hour. And I was thinking, well, for some of us, lockdown has been this, and for some of us, lockdown has been that. And that gave me the chance to flip it to not just some of us, but the some of us collectively. What can we learn from this? And what can we go on to achieve together? So lockdown's been very different for each of us. And this poem doesn't seek to equate those diverse experiences. It seeks to find a common thread of humanity through it all. So here we go. The some of us. Some of us are driving to keep progress on the road. Some of us are working on the tests. Some of us are aching, but we carry heavy loads. Some of us are giving of our best. Some of us are working hard to keep us safe and fed. Some of us are locked down in our homes. Some of us are making masks and others baking bread. Some of us are bored now to our bones. Some of us are steering, volunteering round the clock. Some of us are fighting to survive. Some of us are needing healing, reeling from the shock. Some of us are keeping hope alive. Some of us are picking things to order them online. Some of us are picking fruit and veg. Some of us are living on fine dining and fine wine. Some of us are living on the edge. Some of us feel empty, but we're filling up the shelves. Some of us are putting in the miles. Some of us are teaching, but we're being schooled ourselves. Some of us are frightened behind smiles. Some of us are sowing scrubs, and some are sowing seeds. Some are stitching fragments into plans. Some are holding Zoom meetings with babies on our knees. Some are holding only lonely hands. Some of us share photographs of where and who we've been. Some of us are keen and fresh and young. Some of us are singing happy birthday into screens. Some of us are weeping as it's sung. Some of us are 80, 90, older, fighting through. Some of us are 7, baby teeth. Some of us are smiling because it's all that we can do. Some of us are crying underneath. Some of us, we hurt so much that hurting's all we do. Some of us, we hurt from others' pain. Some of us know some of us can help the others through. Some of us know love will rise again. Some of us are living with an illness and a fear. Some of us are living on our phones. Some of us are living without all that we hold dear. Some of us are living on our own. Some of us have found things that we know we want to keep. Some of us are finding out the cost. Some of us find softness, but we find it hard to sleep. Some of us have found that we have lost. Some of us are missing kissing. Some are missing school. Some are missing everything, it seems. Some of us determined, turning fear into fuel. Some of us have nightmares about dreams. Some of us are playing beep with pain behind our eyes. Some of us are quiet into song. Some of us, when least expected, gloriously rise. Some of us show weakness because we're strong. Some of us are giving care, the greatest gift to give. Some of us are wiped out on our feet. Some of us are always there with love, that love might live. Some of us will not admit defeat. Some of us are new and tiny. Some of us are old. Some of us know someone who is gone. Some of us are truly shining. Some of us are bold. Some of us know all of us are one. Not some of us, the sum of us is what will get us through. The sum of all our talents and our strengths. The sum of us can multiply the sum of what we do. The sum of us will go to any lengths. The sum of us, for some of us, has always been the need. The sum of us, for some of us, the hope. But for some of us, the sum of us is lesser than our greed. And some of us just left to try and cope. So some of us are wealthy, healthy. Some of us are poor. Some of us will buy a magic pill. But some of us know some of us won't cut it anymore. If some of us are sick, we all are ill. For some of us, the some of us, it only just means just some of us. So some of us aren't some of us, but them. The some of us for some of us is more than just for some of us. We'll summon up some of us and then add some of us and some of us and some of us together. The sum of us plus all that we just learned. So the sum of us, not some of us, the sum of us, a ton of us, the sum of us can harvest the returns. For some of us, a ton of us, we're counting on the sum of us to summon us together, move the graphs. Just look at us, the love in us, the love of us in us, the sum of us together. Do the maths. Thank you. Round of applause for Harry there. Harry, he and I nerd out about the geekiness of rhyme and wordplay, and there's a maths reference there for Harry as well. And the posters are very much on a mathematical theme with equality is greater than division and things like that. Clever code in the poster there. Hopefully themes that strike a chord with a Greenbelt audience there as well. As well, this my final point. So as I say, my name's Tony Walsh. They call me Longfella, not Longfellow, Longfella with an A. I'm 6'6". You'll find me on www.longfella.co.uk. You'll find my first book there, signed copies, free postage. Give us a shout. On Twitter, I'm at Longfella Poet. And just to confuse you, on Instagram, I'm at Tony Walsh Poet. So huge thanks to Harry, huge thanks to Jay on the tech here, to Paul, and to all at Greenbelt Festival. It's a beautiful thing you've got going there. Congratulations. Really enjoyed my time there, and I hope to be back with you in that beautiful field at some point soon. I'll leave you with this, my final poem. It takes as its starting point the connection between us all, picking up on the theme of that last poem. At a scientific level, not just at a level of community or a level of faith, we are physically, scientifically connected, aren't we? We share DNA and molecules and atoms and those things. So we're therefore connected with the planet, thereby connected with the universe. We're not separate to the universe. This poem, if you know of the teachings of people like Alan Watts and Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra, some of those people, you'll see some of their thinking in here. There's a reference to I and I, which fans of reggae will and people knowledgeable about Rastafarianism will recognise as the concept of I and I. What's in me is in you, and that's in everything in the universe as well. So it's my final poem. It's called Your Majesty, not as in a royal sense, but as in Your Majesty, our Majesty. We're all majestic. We're all awesome because we're part of this amazing thing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me. Your Majesty. Let it dawn that you're born universal. Know the stars aren't just shining at night. You're infinite, shining eternal. But most days, you're blind to the light. If it's written that God's universal, that means God is the universe too. When it dawns that you're all and eternal, then this holy creation is you. And this God space, the names we've collected, so be it, some timeless, some gone, but all in all things is connected. And the sum of all questions is one. If one ever feels hopeless or helpless, with the ego and soul misaligned, sit stillness, breathe here now and selfless, with the I and I found in divine. If one ever feels lost and redundant, unloved and adrift on our own, look inside for the love and abundance of multitudes, never alone. In a conscious celestial ocean, a vital vibrational sea, with a part of, not apart from, this motion, this stardust, which sparks us to be. But what is it that blocks this potential? It's fear. It's clear. We're scared, which denies you and I exponentially changing our lives and our world if we dare. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Let it dawn that you're born universal. Know the stars aren't just shining at night. You are energy, power, eternal. Beginning here now, see. Beginning here now, see. Beginning here now, see your beauty, your wonder, your lightning, your thunder. Beginning here now, see the light. Be the light. Be the light. See the light. Say the universe sees itself through me. Me here now is where the now unfolds. You're the universe watching you. You universe watching the universe watching you, watching your greatness. Behold. So don't ever feel tiny or worthless. Your majesty written in awe. This love lights our glory and purpose. To shine it is what we are for. Inside us, one love forged eternal. It's all things connected, the stars. It's you, you and you, universal. That's everything. That's who we are. Thank you for having me, Harry. Thank you for listening, Greenbelt. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great summer, everybody. Thank you.
In the comments, give it up for the fantastic Tony Walsh. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you for listening.
As Tony said, we're both fans of words and rhyme, and every time I hear Tony's work, something else jumps out at me. This time it was patois and fatwa, which
there we go.
Cool. I'm just going to finish off with two more pieces. Both are about, both are musical. Tony mentioned the power of music, and I was lucky enough to speak to Tony a couple of weeks back. I've been doing a weekly show turn podcast called Something Borrowed, where me and a guest share different things. So one, this is a shameless plug for that, but also we share something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. And a side effect of that is that every week I have to come up with a new poem on the theme of blue. So the links have got more and more tenuous, but this is one of my favorites from that time. And it's fairly niche, but I thought if ever there was an audience who would appreciate kind of 90s Euro pop bangers and biblical stories, it would be the Greenbelt audience. So one thing that I know Tony shares a love of is that idea that sometimes putting constraints in your writing can bring a level of freedom to it. And one example of that is people writing haiku, trying to write a simple truth in 575. And this is a similar prospect, but it's based on the tune Blue by Eiffel 65, which goes, I'm blue, dabba dee dabba die. So this is an Eiffel 65 coup. And I've tried to tell the story of the fall in Genesis through 5 refrains of Eiffel 65's I'm Blue. And the joy of not having an audience is I cannot feel your judgment if you don't like this, but I will just trust that the silence I'm met with is one of awe and respect, that two huge concepts could be brought together in such a meaningful way. So this is the story of the fall of the Garden of Eden to the tune of Eiffel 65's Dabba Dee Dabba Da. Part 1. I'm new, Adam, Eve, Adam, hi. Adam, Eve, Adam, hi. Adam, Eve, Adam, hi. Part 2. Oh, cool, an apple tree and a viper telling me, have a try, I believe that I might. Part 3. Hey, boo, me, oh me, my, oh my, that's your penis, let's hide, how obscene all this time. Oh, poo, I believe I will die, no more Eden for we must leave paradise. I'm blue, dabba dee dabba die, dabba dee dabba die, dabba dee dabba die. Thank you so much. What I have learned from performing online, I think there's been a difference. I occupy the world of comedy sometimes, music sometimes, poetry sometimes, and I think a lot of comedians have found online gigs difficult because to tell a joke and not get a laugh feels like a failure. I feel like poetry is sometimes in that in-between space where we love to get a reaction, to know that people are understanding our words, but they still contain their own rhythm. And there is all the way to the other end of some musicians don't need an audience or can play music and provide their own energy. But I think with that in mind, if you try and make someone laugh and can't hear them laugh, it can feel difficult. But if your desired effect is a sort of confused silence, then that is exactly what you can give yourself in your own room. So on that note, this last piece is guaranteed to leave the world in a stunned silence, I believe. But it makes me happy. And I started off performing through poetry, where you would literally perform your poem and be given a score out of 10 by the audience. So ever since I started writing, it was based on how people took it. And one thing I've learned during this time is to truly write for the love of it, and hope that that conveys itself through. And all that is a sort of fairly grand way of trying to introduce what is a ridiculous notion, and it is that I've come back to my German roots, and I think the German language is underappreciated and often maligned, often in an unfair way. People say that it's angry, and I think it is truly beautiful. And I thought the best way to convey that was through the medium of sort of a kind of Ibiza-style summer hit. And I'm fortunate enough to have a good friend of mine who had to leave their current situation, has been living with us for a month. So I'd like to welcome to the sofa my friend James, who's going to do some singing, because I can't do that. That's why I became a poet. But this is James. And much like falafel is an enjoyable word, there's so many words in German that just, when translated, are incredible. The German word for iris is Regenbogenhaut, which translates as rainbow skin. The German word for fridge is cold cupboard. Light bulb is glowing pear. And so all of those appear. But the hook of this song is just so many people. And I think hopefully it shows that language can transcend all barriers. But mainly, I want you to see how much joy it is to perform to you. So thank you for being here. This is called Sophie Leloit. Feel free to dance in your own homes. I can only see Tony, but he is providing more than enough of an audience for me. This is what I hope. I have been filming a music video for this today, so that will be coming to the internet at some point. But for now, it's almost July, it's almost summer. One day I'll perform this on the Greenbelt main stage, I promise you. So viele Leute vergessen, dass Deutschland schönes Sprecher ist. Aber warum nicht? So viele Leute vergessen, dass Deutschland schönes Sprecher ist. Aber warum nicht? So viele Leute vergessen, dass Deutschland schönes Sprecher ist. Aber warum nicht? So viele Leute vergessen, dass Deutschland schönes Sprecher ist. Aber warum nicht? So viele Leute, so viele, so viele, so viele, so viele Leute, so schöne, so schöne, so schöne, so viele Leute, so deutsch, so deutsch, so deutsch, so viele Leute, warum nicht? So viele Leute, so viele, so viele, so viele, so viele Leute, so schöne, so schöne, so schöne, so viele Leute, so deutsch, so deutsch, so deutsch, so viele Leute, warum nicht? Eichhornchen, Regenbogenhaut, heiße Wasserflasche, Kühlschränke, Streichholzschachtel, Brustwarze, Nacktschnecke, Falafel, Falafel. So viele Leute, so viele, so viele, so viele, so viele Leute, so schöne, so schöne, so schöne, so viele Leute, so deutsch, so deutsch, so deutsch, so viele Leute, warum nicht? So viele Leute, so viele, so viele, so viele, so viele Leute, so schöne, so schöne, so schöne, so viele Leute, so deutsch, 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 so viele Leute, warum nicht? Warum? 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 Warum nicht? So viele Leute,
so viele, so viele, so viele,
so viele Leute,
so schöne, so schöne, so schöne,
so viele Leute,
so deutsch, so deutsch, so deutsch,
so viele Leute,
warum nicht?
so viele Leute,
Dankeschön, bitteschön,
so viele Leute,
alles schön, total schön,
so viele Leute,
so schöne, so schöne, so schöne,
so viele Leute.
warum nicht?
Thank you, Greenbelt, for giving me time to share such a piece. Who knows what to say? I sort of just want to leave it there. But what I will say is thank you again to Tony. It's always a joy to share the stage, be it virtual or otherwise. I look forward to the next time we can be in a physical space together. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Please do share your appreciation in the comments. That's as close as we get to applause right now. And also you can buy Tony's book. It is fantastic. There's a link to that. There is also a link to my Ko-fi page if you want to leave donations, or I've got books as well. But otherwise, look after yourselves, stay safe, stay Greenbelt, and we will be back with another one of these in a few weeks.